All right, let's get straight to it. The Kansas City Chiefs may have just pulled off one of the sneakiest moves of the offseason. You might not see headlines screaming his name, but if you're really paying attention, you'll realize something big just happened. Brett Veach and the front office brought in a cornerback with major upside. I'm talking about Kristian Fulton. Now look, I know what you're thinking. Fulton? Really? But hear me out. This isn't just a depth piece. This guy has the potential to be a game changer, and I mean that. The Chiefs signed Fulton to a 2-year deal worth $20 million with $15 million guaranteed. That's not just spare change. That's a team saying, we believe in your talent, and we believe you still have more to give. And let's not forget, this isn't some rookie project. Fulton spent 4 years with the Titans, and most recently, he suited up for the Chargers. He's already got some serious snaps under his belt, and his aggressive physical style is a match made in heaven for Steve Spagnuolo's system. If you've been watching Spags over the years, you know he has a way of turning corners into household names. Fulton brings that edge, that hunger, and while he's had his ups and downs, he also brings experience from both the AFC South and West, which could be huge in matchups against divisional opponents. But hey, I want to know what you think. Let's fire it up in the comments. Poll time. Do you think Kristian Fulton should start Week 1 opposite McDuffie? Drop your vote. A. Yes. Let him prove it early. B. No. Make him earn it behind Watson or Williams. C. Depends on training camp. And while you're at it, tell me, was this the most underrated signing of our offseason so far? Now, if you're still not sold, just wait until we break down the numbers behind Fulton's 2024 performance. You're about to see why this signing might be a lot bigger than it looks on paper. All right, now let's get into the part that separates hype from reality. The numbers. Because anyone can say a guy looks good on the field, but when the stats back it up, that's when you start paying real attention. And let me tell you right now, Kristian Fulton's 2024 season told two very different stories. From Week 1 to Week 5, playing for the Chargers, Fulton was quietly one of the top-performing cornerbacks in the league. You probably didn't hear much about it, and that's exactly why this signing could be a steal. Check this. Among all NFL cornerbacks who played at least 100 coverage snaps during that stretch, Fulton ranked 11th in lowest passer rating allowed when targeted. Quarterbacks had just a 69.7 passer rating when throwing his way. That's elite territory, my friend. He even snagged an interception in Week 4. And not just on anyone. It was Patrick Mahomes himself. Yeah, you heard that right. He picked off Mahomes. Now, I know some of y'all are skeptical. One pick doesn't make a shutdown corner, right? Fair. But that stat tells you something. Fulton can hang with the best, and he's got the instincts and timing to make plays in high-pressure moments. But here's the twist. After the Chargers' Week 5 bye, Fulton's performance dipped. He battled a nagging hamstring injury, missed a couple of games, and just didn't look the same. From Week 6 on, his passer rating allowed jumped all the way up to 114, ranking among the worst in the league in that span. It's a brutal drop, and it shows how much health can impact a corner's ability to keep up, cut, and recover. Still, even in a season that started hot and ended shaky, Fulton finished with a career-high 51 tackles, proving he can still bring value even when not at 100%. And get this, 2024 was the most games he's played in a single season, 15. That's progress. So here's the real question for you. If Kristian Fulton comes into training camp fully healthy, do you believe he can bounce back to that elite early season form? Drop your answer in the comments. Yes, he just needs to stay on the field. No, he's too inconsistent maybe. Gotta see how he looks in camp. Coming up next, let's talk fit. How exactly does Fulton slide into this already stacked Chiefs defense, and why he might be the piece that takes our secondary to the next level? Now that we've seen what Fulton can do when he's healthy, let's talk about the big picture. How does he actually fit into this Chiefs defense? You already know the backbone of this unit is Trent McDuffie. All-Pro in 2023, dude's a baller. He can line up. Inside, outside, blitz off the edge. You name it. But here's the deal. Even with McDuffie playing lights out, the secondary showed cracks when it mattered most. Let's be real. The Super Bowl exposed some issues, especially in the cornerback room. Jalen Watson, who's had his moments, got burned bad for a 46-yard touchdown from Jalen Hurts to Devonta Smith. One play doesn't define a player, but in a game of inches, that's the kind of breakdown that costs you rings. That's where Fulton becomes a serious asset. He's primarily been an outside corner, but he has the agility and physicality to slide into the slot if needed. That versatility is gold in Spag's system. Steve Spagnuolo loves players who can move around and confuse opposing QBs with different looks. If Fulton can get comfortable rotating between the boundary and the inside, he gives KC a huge tactical advantage. And here's another big piece. Justin Reid is gone. That veteran presence at safety, gone. So every piece in the defensive backfield now matters more than ever. Fulton isn't a safety, but his ability to hold down his assignment helps take pressure off guys like Brian Cook and whoever ends up starting alongside him. And look, you can never have too much firepower in the secondary, especially when you're facing guys like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and even Justin Herbert twice a year. So now it's your turn again. Where do you think Fulton should play for the Chiefs? Vote in the comments. A, outside corner. Let him lock down the sideline. B, slot corner. Use his speed and instincts inside. C, rotational. Move him around based on matchups. This defense is already good, but Fulton might just be the cherry on top that turns it into something scary. But we're not done yet, because even with this move, there are still a few pieces missing. Next up, let's talk about what the Chiefs still need to do this offseason and why the draft could define the future of this franchise. All right, so we've added a key piece to the puzzle with Christian Fulton. But let's not fool ourselves. If we want that third ring in the Mahomes era to be the start of another run, not the peak, then this offseason still has work to do. Let's start with the obvious: safety help. Losing Justin Reid creates a real gap in leadership and experience on the back end. Now, there's a name floating out there: Justin Simmons. He's still unsigned, and man, imagine plugging him into this defense. A veteran ball hawk alongside our young talent. That could be huge. But if we don't make that move in free agency, then Veach has to go get a safety in the draft. No excuses. Now, talking about the draft, this one's critical. You saw what happened in the Super Bowl. The Eagles exposed our O-line again. It was the second time in a big game that our protection just crumbled under pressure. And with Mahomes about to hit 30, yeah, protecting him should be priority number one. If a top-tier lineman like Kelvin Beachum somehow slips to pick 30, grab him without hesitation. But defense isn't the only place we need depth. I know it sounds crazy, but I want to see us add another running back. Somebody who can be explosive out of the backfield, not just a bruiser. And wide receiver? Don't get me started. Even if it's a late-round pick, we need another dependable weapon, especially with the Rashee Rice situation still a bit murky. Here's something to think about. If you were Brett Veach, who would you take in the first round? Comment below your pick and why. Let's see who's got that GM mindset. A top O-lineman to protect Mahomes, a starting caliber safety to replace Reid, a playmaker at WR or RB to stretch the field, or maybe a wild card. We can't afford to play it safe this year. Not after a Super Bowl heartbreak. Not with this much talent. And definitely not when your franchise QB is still in his prime. Next, we're bringing it home. Let's talk about what this season really means. For the team, for the fans, and for the journey ahead. Look, I know you felt it too. That sting after the Super Bowl. That moment when the confetti wasn't red and gold. It hit different, didn't it? We had Mahomes, we had Andy, we had the heart. But in the end, the roster just didn't hold up. That's why this season, it's personal. This isn't just about bouncing back, it's about proving that this dynasty isn't done yet. Not even close. Christian Fulton might be new to the squad, but he's stepping into something way bigger than just a defensive role. He's joining a team with unfinished business, a team hungry to rewrite the ending. You've got McDuffie locking it down, Spags cooking up schemes, and now Fulton, maybe the underrated weapon that makes the secondary elite again. Add in a strong draft, a few smart moves, and suddenly, we're right back in that title conversation. But here's the thing. You're part of this too. Because the Kingdom, it's not just a fan base, it's a movement. When this team steps on the field, it carries the weight of every voice in Arrowhead, every fan watching at home, every "Go Chiefs" shouted across the country. So let me ask you, do you believe this is the redemption year? Drop it in the comments, yes or no. Tell me how you're feeling. Let's fill that section with passion, hope, and fire. This isn't just about fixing a defense. It's about building something legendary. Again, and if you're riding with me on this journey, hit that like button, subscribe to Total Chiefs, and let's take this ride together. Because the road to glory, it starts right now.